So let's dive into Mary Magdalene. We talked a little bit about it in the part one, but most people obviously have heard of her either from, their spiritual beliefs or religion. Historically, who is she historically? And like, what are some controversial things? I know there's a lot of people channeling with her right now. What's going on with her? Is she channeling through you and others, helping us, through all this chaos?
Yeah. So I have to say that Mary Magdalene in particular is one of my great areas of passionate connection and communion. And really the overall overarching aspect of the divine feminine, which is rising right now on the planet. So I think I'd like to break apart your question in a few different areas, because if we start with Mary Magdalene, there is a wonderful point of human connection with her. And so for many of us, when we start to either become interested in the journey of the divine feminine or feel our own feminine aspects coming to the surface to be healed and embraced and honored, we often connect with these many different various aspects of the goddess, right? Because the goddess is known by so many different names. And whether we think Aphrodite or Venus or Isis or even Mother Mary, there are so many aspects to her that at the same time kind of seem intangible. Right? Much more in an elevated place than where we are right now. So how do we bridge that connection to be able to fully receive the healing, the awakening, and all of the attributes of the divine feminine that these aspects of the goddess carry? And this is one thing that I truly love about Mary Magdalene, because of her journey was so human. And that even though she was a very high level spiritual initiate, she moved through so many aspects that you and I are faced with every day in our mundane as well as our spiritual lives and our spiritual longings for deeper connection and communion and understanding of who we are and why we're here. And so I think that if we look at Mary Magdalene in particular, first, from the standpoint as a very high-level spiritual initiate, we begin to see that there's so much more to her than a lot of the biblical or old paradigm, if you will, stories. Because we also have to acknowledge that from the perspective of religious dogma, and of course, so much of our culture, that the feminine has been suppressed, silenced, pushed down, pushed away, put in the corner. Right. And so we don't really see tremendous evidence biblically of how women are wise, intuitive, incredibly strong, right? We're able to create and grow life within us and birth life through us, right? So we are the ultimate creatrix of realities, of worlds, of form, right? Of creation, and of course, of humanity. And so I always think that if we're going to look at things from a biblical perspective, we want to take them with a grain of salt. And so looking at these aspects where Mary Magdalene was identified as less than virtuous, less than equal, there's a great curiosity there. And one of the things that was so beautiful after the coming back with all of the experience from the first retreat, the Divine Feminine retreat in southern France that I led in September, was being able to see these areas in Europe, in France in particular, where she and a very small group of her kind of ladies in waiting, if you will, brought Christianity to Europe, brought the true teachings of Christ as a way of peace, as a way of love, as a way of light, brought this to Europe, right? Well, so that really right there alone says that she was much more of an equal to Christ. And this is something that you can see throughout the art and the culture and so many of these aspects of ancient sacred sites in southern France. And what a beautiful recognition to be able to see that for us as women who hold this archetypical energy of the divine feminine, and to see the level of equality there and to see the disparity in terms of what was written about her, and to really begin to understand that these many divine attributes of hers, of faith, of trust, of surrender, of divine love, of sacred relationship, of tantra, right? All of these very high level spiritual understandings, concepts, precepts were part of what she taught. And the great light and love that she laid in every area that she was present in. So I think from that human perspective, we can really receive that common ground, that place of connectivity, to know that if this is a woman who was on the planet walking a journey that was very arduous, right? Having to see her beloved suffer in those ways, and how the deep torment of that, and yet also a level of understanding of the divine unfoldment, right, of experience and purpose for that regard. And so she has something that we can all receive, connect, understand, and benefit from. And I sense this great calling, this deep calling right now as we're going through this juncture of shift, of awakening, of evolution on the planet, evolution of our consciousness. And the calling in particular within us for the divine feminine to rise, and to rise in ways of authenticity, of creativity, of truth, of honoring ourselves and each other, of great receptivity, right? There is magic, there is intuition within us. There is such an ability for creation and creativity, and a remarkable innate sense of community, the knowing that through our sisterhood or through our communion, through our sacred community, we heal when we come together from a place of openness and vulnerability. And we lift ourselves up by lifting each other up. And so it really breaks that old paradigm of competition, right? Which is the old way of being. And I think part of the old masterful male paradigm, because as women, we heal when we come together in community and open honoring.
From her, like the human, standpoint of her, and historically, I actually don't know this. Do we know if they had children, her and Jesus? Or do we think that?
Are really great points of discussion and curiosity. And so if we're going to look from the biblical perspective, we would say absolutely not. Mm-hmm. And yet, if we refer to many other accounts, many other stories, many other perspectives, we see that is perhaps more than a possibility, that they were in fact twin flames, and completely unified at the soul level. Right. And so when we look at aspects of the Christ lineage, that we see there is much said about that, right? That they had children, their children had children, and have created this very powerful bloodline. And so, and I think that this too is such a wonderful conversation, because it reminds us that we have to find the truth within. and that there are going to be countless books and countless people that tell you what is true, right? And that truth, it always comes from another's perspective. So, and I think even from a scientific perspective, we know from quantum physics that an observer changes the outcome of a reality, right? So everything is malleable because everything is energy. Yeah. And so finding your own truth may be different than my truth, and yet we can certainly honor each other's way. Right. So, so one of the things that is important to me in taking these groups of like-minded souls to southern France to follow in the footsteps of Mary Magdalene is to leave space for sourcing of everyone's individual perspective and truth. And I have a beautiful colleague, Veronique, Ronnie as we call her, that is my partner in France, who will speak to all of the historical accounts of Mary Magdalene. And at the same time, because she grew up in a tradition of being surrounded by her energy in the area in Saint Maximin de la Saint Baume, where Mary Magdalene spent her last few decades at the grotto, she also has expanded perspectives. And so this is a wonderful way that we can offer seeds of thought and philosophy for everyone in the group to be able to have their own unique experience, and yet have that experience be augmented by everyone else in the group. And that was, to me, one of the most remarkable things that we experienced on that last trip in September, where even though we started out as strangers, we, in those few short days, right, less than a week together, we became intimately and deeply connected. Yeah. And that connection will span far beyond that trip, and does. And so this, to me, is one of the beautiful aspects of the divine feminine, of the embodiment and transmission of teachings from Mary Magdalene, is that sacred community truly embodies, holds a container for sacred relationship, and all relationship is sacred.
Yeah, and that was, one of the controversial questions I wanted to ask, because some people have never thought about that. Like you said, like biblically, it's just like, no, she was who she was. And definitely they didn't have children and they weren't lovers and all the things. And then, there's a lot of open-ended conversations that I've heard over the years with a more broad spiritual look of like, of course they would have been together. Like that was, the full human experience, right? And there could be things left out, of course, in the Bible. And so obviously you've kind of already set the tone that she was intuitive. Do they speak about that at all in the Bible, about her having those powers? Are they more, she's just more that like in the background figure?
My perspective and understanding is that more of a background figure, although there was, of course, the anointing of Christ with beautiful spikenard essential oil, which I actually have on my desk here. It's one of my favorites for journey work. Where she anointed him before the Last Supper. So we do see elements of sacred connection, sacred communion. But I think that at the same time, what you said is really profound, the aspect of the human experience. And so how could we fully receive the teachings of Christ if he was not in human form? Again, it kind of comes back to my conversation about the energies of the goddess, right? The goddess being up here or out there. And so how could he pave as profound a pathway of light as he did if he was not in human form? And humanity are like the quintessential human experience is to be able to have that tantric connection with our soulmate, our twin flame. And when I say tantric, I'm not just focusing from a sexual perspective, but when we have the physical connection and chemistry, when we have the emotional vulnerability, which in partnership plays between both people. When we have the mental, like the similar wavelength of connecting and communicating beyond words. And when we have those spiritual connections, it creates an alchemical container, which is the highest conduit of frequency for the human connection to create beyond limitation, to experience miracles as a way of the norm, and to create things and to move through our own personal densities with the most expediency, right? Through that alchemical container of tantric connection. And so to me, how could there be any other way?